Most engineers reach $150,000 and stop, not because they stop improving, because their roles stop scaling. The system does not block them suddenly. It stabilizes them gradually. What feels like slow growth is not temporary. It is structural. $150,000 is not where progress pauses. It is where most careers settle. Over time, what feels stable becomes permanent. Now, salary distribution. It shows a clear clustering between $120,000 and $150,000. This is where a large portion of engineers remain for extended periods. Movement above this range exists, but it becomes slower, less frequent, and more conditional. Compensation increases flatten. Promotions take longer and require stronger justification. Opportunities become less visible and more competitive. This is not delay. It is compression. The higher you go, the fewer roles exist. The fewer roles exist, the harder it becomes to move. $150,000 is not a midpoint. It is a holding zone. Most who reach it remain there longer than they expect. Now, market demand. It supports this level consistently, but not expansively. Companies need engineers to maintain systems, ship features, and keep operations running. These roles are stable and necessary, but they are not designed to scale upward in impact or compensation. They are designed to sustain output. The system values consistency more than growth at this level. Demand exists, but it does not create mobility. Stability and limitation come from the same source. Over time, that balance does not change. Now, competition level. It intensifies without creating movement. At the $150,000 level, the pool of engineers is large, experienced, and increasingly similar. Many have comparable experience, similar technical skills, and overlapping responsibilities. Differentiation becomes harder over time. You are no longer competing to enter the market. You are competing to move beyond it. Most profiles at this level look interchangeable. The system does not need to promote many. It only needs to retain enough. Pressure builds, but movement does not follow. Now, positioning strategy. Early career positioning becomes visible at this stage. Engineers who spent their first years executing tasks without ownership reach this level with limited leverage. They know how to deliver, but not how to influence systems. They can build, but not direct outcomes. This creates a ceiling that is not explicitly defined, but consistently applied. By mid-level, trajectories diverge clearly. Some move toward impact, most remain in execution. The gap is not created later. It becomes visible here. Then it compounds. Now, long-term outlook. It reinforces this pattern rather than breaking it. More engineers enter the field every year, increasing supply in the mid-range. At the same time, automation reduces the need for repetitive development work. This compresses roles that do not scale. The middle becomes more crowded. The top does not expand at the same rate. This creates pressure without mobility. Growth continues, but mostly inside the same band. Expansion happens horizontally, not vertically. Over time, upward movement becomes less common. Now, positioning determines who moves beyond $150,000. High earners do not just improve technically. They change the nature of their work. They move closer to revenue, scale, or infrastructure. They increase visibility and decision-making authority. They shift from execution to ownership. The difference is not effort. It is alignment with leverage. The same engineer, in a different system, produces different outcomes. Skill creates potential. Positioning converts it into income. Now, risk. It accumulates in a stable form that is easy to ignore. Engineers at this level often feel secure. They have income, experience, and predictable work. But this stability becomes a trap. Years pass with incremental increases, but no structural change. The gap between them and higher tiers widens, not because they decline, because they do not move. The risk is not immediate loss. It is long-term stagnation. By the time it becomes visible, it is harder to reverse. Now, the system reinforces this equilibrium continuously. Companies are optimized to keep engineers productive at this level. They do not need everyone to move up. They need most to remain consistent and reliable. Promotions are limited by design. Compensation growth is controlled and predictable. This is not inefficiency. It is structure. The system does not fail to move people upward. It is built to keep most in place. Final verdict. $150,000 is not a milestone that leads upward. It is a stabilization point where most engineers stop moving. The system does not push them forward. It absorbs them. Moving beyond this level requires more than time or incremental improvement. It requires a structural shift in environment, role, and leverage. Without that shift, most engineers remain exactly where they are, not by accident, but by design.